You are now tuned into the sounds of Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
Time's been moving slowly, so we already in too deep. Can't get...
You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that's on all the time, anytime. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for all content. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell. Bring your sports game with Big Nate Sports Talk.
Well, first of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying safe. Hope you're having a great week. I hope your week is going strong and you're finishing the week off strong, as this is a beautiful, beautiful Thursday afternoon. This is episode 28, season 11 of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. But before we get into the video, there's a few things I would like to say up front. I will have recorded episodes of recapping the Maryland men's and women's basketball games. Maryland, the women play South Carolina tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Xfinity Center. That should be a great game. The men, I believe, play Louisburg, if I'm not mistaken, for basketball. Tomorrow's also the WNBA draft lottery. So at the end of this video, I'm going to give my predictions on who will be your top four lottery picks for the number one overall pick, because we all know that Aaliyah Boston will be the number one overall pick in the 2023 WNBA draft.
Guaranteed!
And also once that is concluded, then we're also going to start our mock draft for the WNBA. But we also got an NFL mock draft coming out soon, so be tuned in for that as well. But other than that, in this episode, we are recapping the Baltimore Ravens beating New Orleans Saints Monday night. The Washington Commanders video just went up. I do apologize. I had incorrectly set the wrong time for it to go live this morning. But this episode will go live about 2:30. So let's get into it. The Baltimore Ravens went down into the Bayou, went to the Superdome, paid the New Orleans Saints a visit, and we defeated the New Orleans Saints. It was a very, very much needed win. Beat the New Orleans Saints 27.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. This shit means something to me, man.
Okay. I thought it was a good game overall. coming into this game, you didn't have Rashard Bateman, who's out for the season. I did want to speak on that really quick. Me personally, I think he was not ready to start. I thought it was a very, very questionable decision on why. I feel like he was rushed a little too soon for me. I also felt as though he should have. You should at least give him a couple more weeks. I don't think he was ready to come back at all, especially off his. I knew something just wasn't right. So I'm very disappointed how that was handled. Mark Andrews did not play as well. One thing that it hurts is now you're relying on others to step up. Your playmakers and Duvernay and Deshaun Jackson and Demarcus Robinson. You need those to step up. And the more I thought it was a balanced offense to me, in my opinion. Others, unfortunately, they had to step up, whether we like that or not. When I'm looking at Lamar, for example, I thought Lamar did a great job. I mean, he completed 10 passes, for example, in the first half to eight different receivers. He only completed 2 more in the second half. I mean, he was 12 of 22 for 133 yards and a touchdown. And then he had 82 yards on the ground. I thought that was the key. There was a couple of things as a cohesive unit that we need to fix. I thought from a coach's perspective, I thought there was in the fourth quarter, there was a lot of miscommunication. The snap count was not as subpar. There was a moment where there was frustration where it was a false start and you saw Lamar Ronnie Stanley and Lamar get at it. That's also something I wanted to address. So I was on a Twitter space and there was this notion, and this is no shade towards to that person who to the host of that Twitter space. But I said this and other people said it. One thing that I don't like is the media will take the smallest thing that, whether it's Lamar Jackson, whether it's Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, or whoever, and they will take the most microscopic thing and say, that's not what a quarterback should do. That's not what a leader should do. Here's guys like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, who throw tablets, who yell, cuss, and scream at their offense, whether at their coaches, receivers, offensive linemen, and they're getting praised on. That's leadership. That's what a Hall of Famer looks like. There's a lot of, it's the optics. I thought people are making that little expression of frustration are blowing it up too much. In other words, you mean to tell me he can't express frustration? He's just supposed to just go, okay, just hold it in. That's not that like, that's not fair. If Tom Brady does it, hold him to that same standard if you're going to do to other black quarterbacks. That's just my opinion. So I thought that was kind of blown under proportion. I mean, there was a lot of struggling. There was one point like where they had to 24-yard completion on one play back because of holding. The snap count needs to be better. Isaiah Likely, who to me is the guy stepping up for Mark Andrews. He did pretty well. He had a couple catches. Josh Oliver, he did all right. Charlie Collier supposed to be back any day now. Did not really see much from Nick Boyle. But, I mean, the running game was really your key. It was kind of a slow start. The second half, the running game picked up. Kenyon Drake, who has been on fire. He finished 93 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. I thought that was very spectacular for the running game. And that's something that we have to stay consistent. If something works, stick with it. On the defensive side of the ball, I'm starting to see them go away from Wink Martindale's blitz happy and more of a zone coverage defense where you're rushing 3 or 4. I don't think Baltimore's never ran. I think they've always run No, they've ran a 3-4, 4-3. But I credit I credit the front four: Matabuke, Calais Campbell, Brett Urban, really creating pressure. Um, I mean, they contained New Orleans to 48 yards on 15 carries. Um, Linebacking core. Now, um, the addition of Roquan Smith, I think, puts everybody at their natural positions, in my opinion. Justin Houston, who was my defensive player of the game, um, I mean, he looked like the Justin Houston when he was in Kansas City. He intercepted the pass Mindy Dalton, um, Adolphe Owe. He also generated pressure. Tyus Bowser, who coming off his injury, first game back, did a lot of things. This group is starting to pick it up together, and when David Ojabo comes in there, it's going to be really interesting. Um, Roquan Smith, who I think it was a good pickup. My concern is I don't want this to be another Yannick Ngakoue trade where you trade a pick and then you let him walk. For some unknown reason, the Ravens have there's something about either it's the price or it's the money. I mean, the price, I'm going to say it's something about the money or something about the years, because we've let Judon, TJ Mosley, um, Zadarius Smith, we've let those guys walk, and then what we have replaced them with is not the sharpest knives in the drawer. And I'm just hoping that a guy like Roquan is retained. Um, I'm looking at what he did. I mean, he was on Albert Kamara the entire game. I mean, kept him in the open field. He did a good job containing him from getting a big conversion. There's a lot. There's very linebackers that are that versatile, and I give Ronquo Smith that credit. Um, I mean, the only thing that really bugged me was the giving up that touchdown to Josh Johnson. Um, Marcus Peters thought he went out of bounds, and that was pretty much it. Other than that, Kyle Hamilton played well. I think it's time to bench Chuck Clark, um, and have Geno Stone starting. I, I was never really sold on Chuck Clark. I just don't see it. I think he's a great leader, great uh, a great defensive back when it comes to the run. Against the pass, he is a liability, and it's shown. And it has to be sometimes. I would not be surprised if you see him walk away if we move on from him after this year. And then, as a cohesive defense, we held that offense to 169 yards in a pick. So ring your head on that if you're the Ravens. Now, from the Orleans Saints perspective, Andy Dalton is just the bell cow. Um, I've seen this before uh, because for some reason it's the same statistic. I think now Andy Dalton's like 6-20 in primetime games, and I think um, that hasn't been that bad since 2000. Uh, I think it's time you need to put Jameis Winston back in the starting lineup. Um, this defense for New Orleans, uh, who contained Oakland, they did sack Lamar 3 times, but they did a bad job. They allowed Baltimore as a Queasy to rush for 188 yards, and that's just not going to win you football games. That is a fact. Um, I mean, I think that when you look at their win against Las Vegas, I said Oakland, Las Vegas Raiders, excuse me. I think that was just smoke and mirrors, um, because the Las Vegas Raiders are struggling right now. There's certain things you can't take away from their win, but there's a lot of miscues that I think have occurred. Um, you know, I think that you kind of have to look back at those. Okay, was that just a a bad Raiders team or just a good, Saints team. I think they came with possession. Baltimore did a great job of ensuring offensively they stayed off the field by more than 15 minutes. If that was their strategy to keep us off the field, it was trash. I thought New Orleans did a horrible job on third down. They pretty much were pressured on every one of the situations. They were outran in the running game. They only had less than 4 yards per carry, and that hurts you, especially when you're trying to win games. And I think that looking at the New Orleans Saints, and I'm going to continue to say this. I've said this for the Detroit Lions. I've said it for other teams that have quarterback issues that I think it's easy to point the finger at the quarterback. Yes, Dennis Allen made it clear that Andy Dalton was a starting quarterback. But he did. There is potential that Jameis could start. Basically, as long as they continue to produce the numbers, Andy Dalton starting. Obviously, that wasn't the case on Monday. This team has just been up and down, inconsistent. Like I said, they struggled on third down. They in the red zone were not great, and you just saw I saw a completely different Saints team from what I saw against Las Vegas Raiders. Whether if you put Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston, they got to get it together against Pittsburgh, because what I saw out there is simply not going to win you football games. That is a fact. And again, I just don't think drafting a quarterback fixes these issues offensively for the New Orleans Saints.
I mean, this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Oh, Lord.
And again, there's just a lot of questions. I mean, you're 3 of 11 on third down, 0 for 2 in the red zone, a late touchdown catch. That's some of that's got to look on us offensively. And also, too, I got to give this guy credit. Chris Olave. Chris Olave is now, to me, by default, the number one wide receiver. And also, too, that's another thing that we're not really talking about. Michael Thomas out for the year again. Jarvis Landry's been dealing with injuries. I mean, other than that, other than Olave and Johnson and Kamara, Mark Ingram, who do the Saints have offensively? Marquez, Callaway? They're okay, but again, drafting a quarterback is not the answer to fixing these problems. They need to continue to build on the offensive line. Look for another receiver. Start building around your quarterback. I think that's the logic that sometimes people just miss. That I don't think sometimes understand. It's easy to say if you draft a quarterback, but if you draft a quarterback and he fails, what's the excuse? Oh well, I hate that. That bothers me sometimes. Hate's a strong word. It just bothers me. But I mean, that was the game. So we're good win going into the bye week 6-3. We're starting to look. The Ravens are starting to put it together. The pieces looking together. Just got to maintain consistency. Now I'm just kind of seeing how this offense will look minus Rashard Bateman. Once we get a healthy Mark Andrews back, the running game stays consistent. We'll be okay. But for those that still are making a big fuss about Lamar Jackson and Ronnie Stanley getting into it on that play where the snap count, where it was a silent count, you saw Kevin Zeitler slap him on the leg, say, okay, he wants to snap the ball. And for those that are saying Lamar shouldn't have done that.
But one thing I do want to say is that y'all can kiss my ass and everybody's ass.
So, and that brings me to my last subject of the podcast.
Incoming message.
Thoughts are running through my mind. Someone took some time to find a minute or two to organize them.
Yes, final message. It is the WNBA Draft Lottery is tomorrow, November 11th, 5:30 on the network ESPN. I cannot believe we were already here. It's that fast. Really quick. So what ended up happening was that the Indiana Fever, the Atlanta Dream, the Washington Mystics, it was a trade with the Los Angeles Sparks and Atlanta Dream and the Minnesota Lynx. So just to break it down really quick. So we obtained the rights for Los Angeles' first round pick that was acquired by Atlanta in the Erica Wheeler, Kennedy Carter, and I can't remember who else was in that trade as well. Chicago got the Phoenix Mercury's 2023 first round pick from Phoenix for Julie Alderman for Indiana in a three-way trade where Phoenix got this Diamond DeShields, Indiana got Bria Hartley in a 2023 second round pick, and Phoenix got the 2022 and 2023 first round picks from Chicago. And then Indiana got the Dallas Wings first round pick and for next year, and then their 2022 first round picks, the number 4 and number 6, which were for this year was Lexi Hall and Melissa Smith. Indiana has the seventh overall pick in this year's draft, and then Chicago's 2023 first round pick, if I'm saying that correctly. So, just really quick, the remaining order of the first round, I think is going to go Chicago, New York, Indiana, Atlanta, Seattle, Connecticut, Dallas, and then Minnesota. So, in no particular order, I believe that the Minnesota Lynx will receive the 4th overall pick.
Guaranteed.
Number 3, the 3rd overall pick will belong to the Atlanta Dream.
Guaranteed.
With the 2nd overall pick, the second overall pick will be awarded to the Indiana Fever.
Guaranteed.
And with the number 1 overall pick, it will be awarded once again for 2 years in a row. The Washington Mystics will be rewarded the number 1 overall pick.
Guaranteed.
And that's my predictions for the WNBA Draft Lottery. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Be tuned in for future episodes. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is your host, Nathan Snell. You can catch me with the recorded episodes coming out soon. Until then, like, comment, subscribe. I'm out. Peace. Stay up.
But I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. Thanks for the kind words. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys if they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.